Goodwin, Ryan Curl, and Jetta Robinson. This is the MMA On Show.
What up, MMA On Show? Welcome to the UFC 266 Gambling Pod. I'm going to try to get through this thing swiftly. So let's get into it. First up, Omar Morales, minus 165. Jonathan Pierce, plus 135. Pierce keeps a really crazy pace, 8.8 to 6.65 landed. Morales fairly standard. Wrestling-wise, Pierce has 9 combined takedowns in his 2 UFC wins, which were both came by way of KO. Averages just under 6 takedowns for 15 minutes at 60% accuracy. So, again, super high pace. Morales had takedowns in 3 of his 4 UFC wins, 1 KO. Both pretty good takedown defense. Pierce can win this fight with pace and pressure, so I think there is value here with him as an underdog. So I'm going with the bet here is Jonathan Pierce at plus 135. Value, I'm putting it at 6 out of 10. Again, I just think that he brings more to the table. I'm more excited to see him fight. Matthew Simelsberger, I may have said his name wrong, versus Martin Sano. Big favorite here. Simelsberger, I think he's the second biggest favorite on the card. Sano, plus 380. Simelsberger, minus 550. Martin Sano Jr. is a Nick Diaz guy, which is why he's in the UFC at 4-2-1. Has a win over Jeff Neal, interestingly, but it was in 2013 when they had 3 combined fights. Sano has lost 2 of his last 3, drew the other one. The last time he won a fight, Steve Nash was still in the NBA. So there's really no data on this dude. Not a lot to see, not a lot to even know. Simelsberger's best win, KO over Jason Witt, probably, which is looking better now with time. Not a lot of betting options here. I think the bet is probably that the fight doesn't go the distance at minus 300, which is not great value, obviously, so I'll put value at 3 out of 10. Nick Maximov, minus 120 versus Cody Brundage coming in even money. Maximov, also a Nick Diaz guy. He, on the other hand, very much deservingly in the UFC. Likes to mix it up, really defensively responsible. Brundage comes to bang. He likes to hit and get hit. I don't know a lot about either of these guys. I don't have a ton of value on the bet here, but I do think Maximov, from what I've seen, has more tools. So I like Maximov minus 120. I'll put value at 3 out of 10 on that one. Jalen Turner, even money, coming in against Uros Medic at minus 120. I think that line has moved a bit, so keep an eye on that. I think more money's coming in towards Medic. Medic just had about as good of a start as you can have in the UFC. Outstruck Cruz 45-0 with a knockdown, and then in a Dana White Contender Series fight, 32-2 in his favor with 2 knockdowns. First round KOs, both those fights. Turner keeps a great pace, has looked very good at times, has also looked beatable at times, and has been beaten, but by good fighters. I don't know. It's hard to pick against Medic with how well he's done and what we've seen of him so far, but he's sort of an unproven commodity still, I think, to some degree. That said, I think Jalen Turner is good, but I think we're going to find out if Uros Medic is special. For me, I'm kind of hedging towards him being the real deal. So I like him inside distance at plus 130 for my bet. Value 4 out of 10. I think this could look similar to the Vicente Luque fight against Jalen Turner. Talia Santos minus 450, Roxanne Modafferi plus 325. Modafferi's striking differential is not great, basically 3 to 5. Average defense 53%. Santos slightly below average pace, kind of average 3.5. Landed to 2.2 absorbed. Both can wrestle, but seems unlikely. Probably, I think there'll be some clinching and maybe some ground stuff, but I don't know what to expect really. It's possible that Santos can win by stoppage. Unlikely to me. I think the bet here is that the fight goes the distance. Unfortunately, you only get minus 240, but I do think that's probably a lock. But even with that, I'm only calling that a 3 out of 10 value. Dakis Abdurrahimov. So Dakis minus 210, Abdurrahimov at plus 170. Dakis is just a beast, man. Almost 12 strikes landed to 3 absorbed per minute. 12. Holy smokes. 61% landed, 65% defense. I mean, you don't see these types of striking numbers at heavyweight. That's absurd. Or really any division, but 3 fights, Dawkins is looking like a killer. Abdurrahimov has also been very good, but in a different kind of way. Pretty low pace, basically lands 2.5 and absorbs 2.5 a minute, so pretty average, 1.23 takedowns per 15. Noteworthy that Abdurahimov's losses are to good fighters, but I don't know. I don't think he's getting past Dawkins. We got Dawkins by KO, even money. We'll call it 5 out of 10 for value. Hooker versus Nasrat Haqparast. This could be a banger, but I definitely think it could be kind of cagey too. Really important fight for both guys. Hooker's, 2-fight skid. We'll see kind of what direction his career is going to go for the remainder of it. Not to say that he can't bounce back. He definitely can. Haqparast has had rocky moments in the UFC, but definitely still highly touted. Now he's got 3 in a row. Both keep a good pace. Nasrat's striking differential is a little better. He lands almost 6, 5.8 to absorbing 3.23 a minute. And Hooker's 4.95 to 4.92. It's kind of taking one to give one. Hooker, the likelier wrestler, but not in this matchup. It's not going to happen. This would definitely be a kickboxing fight. I'd be surprised otherwise. Maybe some clinch, but even that would be surprising. Hooker's got a size advantage, but it has listed as only a 3-inch reach advantage. But, I mean, he just looks a lot bigger than that to me, but maybe I'm wrong. For me, the bet right now is on Dan Hooker, minus 165 now. The line has actually moved. The value, I'm putting it at 5 out of 10. I just think Hooker's elite. I don't think Haqparast is there just yet. But we're going to find out. Rob Divashvili, speaking of what we're going to find out, coming in at minus 265, favorite over Marlon Moraes, plus 210. I think there might be some value in something with Moraes here. So we're looking into that right away. Rob has a better striking differential. He's here to wrestle. That's his thing. Averages 7.38 per 15 minutes at 43% accuracy, so he also just doesn't stop. Moraes' takedown defense is not great. Nobody's really tested his wrestling that much, but it's still only 66%, so there's a strong possibility Merab could hold him down. I think we got a good bet here, so if Moraes wins, it's going to probably be inside distance, either knockout or maybe then a knockdown and a sub. At plus 375, and I think we hedge that with Rob Divashvili by decision. That seems pretty likely as well at even money. So value for that, 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Hit that one. We got a couple hedges. Jessica Andrade, Cynthia Calvillo. Andrade, higher output everywhere. She strikes at a very high output for the division, and averages more takedowns per 15. Calvillo more responsible defensively, 67% striking defense. That's very good. So she's good at managing distance and space, which is important in this fight for her to get out of the fight. Calvillo's slight size advantage. And to beat Andrade, man, she really only loses to the best of the best. And Calvillo's good, but I don't think she's that good. You have to really manage space at an elite level, which she does at a pretty good level, but I don't think she's got enough coming back for Andrade to win the fight. But I do think she can survive. So I like Andrade by decision at plus 140. I'll put that at 6 out of 10 value. Curtis Blades, Jairzinho Rosenstrike. Blades coming in as a big favorite in this, which is not entirely surprising to me, but the line is a little wider than I would have guessed. Starbucks. Similar pace-wise on the feet, Blades with a much better striking differential. He's just a more responsible striker, I guess, but he's a lot of his striking comes in the form of jabs and then little stuff in clinch. You're not seeing a lot of huge shots landed on the feet from Blades. That said, he does get guys out of there, which he could in this fight, but to me, I actually find unlikely, which I'll explain more. Blades wants to wrestle. 6.64 per 15 and 54%. So that's a pretty high pace of grappling transitionary periods for defense. But the thing here is that Rosenstrike is pretty good at avoiding that stuff historically, relatively untested. But the people who've tried to wrestle him have had some success, but not like a ton. And when they haven't really been able to keep him there for super extended periods that I can recall. So because of that, I like Blades by decision at plus 200, hedged with Rosenstrike by KO at plus 315. I put this at 9 out of 10 value. I think those are the two most likely outcomes, and you're getting plus 200 or more on both of them. So hit them both. One of them will probably cash. Okay, Lawler Diaz. I'm trying to disregard all the weird media stuff from Nick, because if you followed the sport for as long as I have, you know that he says weird stuff in interviews all the time. So I know it's tempting to think maybe he shouldn't be here because of the stuff he's saying, but I actually don't put that much stock in it. What I do put stock in is the fact that he hasn't competed in 6 years. So I think everything that we know about him is automatically kind of up in the air. It just is. I don't like that this was switched to middleweight for Nick. Not being able to make weight, that's not great. Don't love that. That said, a historically more efficient striker is Nick Diaz. He lands 5.4 to absorbing 3.6. And then Lawler, on the other hand, lands 3.5 to absorbs 4.2. Nick, the likelier wrestler, not probably going to happen in this matchup. Lawler has been losing to fairly elite guys, but he's been more competitive than, say, like a Tyron Woodley has been against similar types of fighters. Lawler's still there to a large degree, which is why I think, that's why he's the favorite for sure. I'll say that. For me, I'm just going to bet Nick Diaz at plus 135 because it's fun. I put the value at 2 out of 10. I really don't know what's going to happen in this fight. I really don't know what Lawler we're going to get. I have absolutely no idea what Nick Diaz we're going to get. So, if you want to throw $10 and never see again on Nick Diaz and have some fun with it, why not? Valentina Shevchenko, Lauren Murphy. Obviously, biggest favorite on the card here is Shevchenko. Kind of hard to find a good bet here initially. I think I found something that makes sense. I'm not going to try to convince you that Lauren Murphy can win this fight because I really don't know how she can, but I do think that she can survive, and I think there's some value in Shevchenko by decision at plus 215. First of all, Lauren Murphy deserves a lot of respect for being here in this run that she's put together at 38 years old. Solid. Really, really solid fighter. Unfortunately, she's fighting someone that basically only loses to Amanda Nunes, so that's not great. Valentina, better striking differential, better wrestler, just better all over the board. That said, Murphy is durable, never been stopped, and her 4 losses all by decision. Is incredibly physically strong. I think she can get out of there. I think she can survive. I like that. I'll put it at 6 out of 10 for Shevchenko by decision. Last but not least, a fight that I am incredibly intrigued by. I've gone over this over and over and over and over and over in my head to try to figure out what I think is going to happen. I just really, I don't know. I think we saw such a tremendous leap in Brian Ortega's game between the Holloway loss and then the win over Chan Sung Jung that I don't, can he do that again? Can he be that good again? And Volkanovski is a different type of matchup, obviously, than Chan Sung Jung. Chan Sung Jung was the perfect fight for Brian Ortega to look good, considering the evolutions that he had made. I'm curious to see how those evolutions will apply themselves against someone that has the historically good striking differential of Alexander Volkanovski. And that's really how he wins fights. His striking differential 6.02 landed to 3.31 absorbed. I mean, to have that with the matchups that he's had, he's insane. He's really only fought good dudes since he's been in the UFC. I mean, that's unbelievable numbers. And some people will say, he's a point fighter or whatever. He's scoring on whatever, man. He's winning. He's beating everybody. Ortega's striking differential is actually pretty bad, but that is partially due to earlier in his career when he was definitely much more willing to get hit. 4.29 landed to 6.28 absorbed, but that will shift over his career for sure. He is obviously much more complete on the feet. That is 100% true. Now, to what degree, I think we'll find out. How much of a leap now that he took between the Chan Sung Jung fight and this fight, that will I think, be the story of the fight. Volk, the likelier wrestler, but not in this matchup. I think he's going to avoid the clinch and the ground at all costs because Ortega is just so good at getting you in bad places and putting you in danger on the ground and places where Volkanovski just hasn't been. Ortega's got one of the scariest guards in MMA, period. You don't want to be down there. And he'll jump guillotine and triangle and armbar and stuff against the fence if he thinks it's there. He's a wild boy. He's a wild boy. There's a reason why people love to watch Brian Ortega compete. The other thing that I think is interesting that I don't know how much will matter, and I don't think it should affect the way that you bet, but is sort of the mental side of this, because we haven't really seen Volkanovski not like somebody to the degree that he seems to not like Brian Ortega before. Especially at the weigh-ins yesterday, the stuff coming out about Ortega popping for a PED that was kind of like hidden by the UFC or whatever at the beginning of his career, and then Volkanovski kind of found out about it, and then he was going off, man. He was pissed. I've never seen him like that. It was really interesting. Really interesting. Will it affect the fight? I don't know. I kind of doubt it. But either way, I think if it doesn't affect the fight, then we've got one bet for you to hedge with the other bet that would come if it does affect the fight, if that makes sense. So what I like here is Volk by decision at plus 120 hedged with Ortega inside distance at plus 250. Those seem like the most likely outcome. I don't think Volk's going to stop him. It just seems he would have to put himself in too much danger to create that opportunity unless he just deaded him. But that just doesn't really seem to be in Volkanovski's wheelhouse. He doesn't dead people. So him winning seems like a decision all the way. All the way. And Ortega winning, conversely, like I just don't see how he's going to, outpoint the point guy. That's just not going to happen. If Ortega is going to win, he's going to either hurt him and choke him or find some crazy choke late or, who knows, maybe knock him out. I just don't see him winning a decision at all. Ortega, that is. So I like that. I have it at 5 out of 10. It might even be a little bit more than that. I think the reason I put 5 out of 10 is because plus 120 and plus 250 for a hedge isn't like the greatest numbers in the world. But it's going to be one of those two. Probably. I'd be very surprised otherwise. Okay, cool. That's all I got. We've been on fire lately, so let's keep it up. Peace.